miles from the finish. There's still time to play another card before the sprinters come into it. This isn't the sort of road, though, I must say, to encourage attacks. These long, straight, wide autostradas are not the place for the sprinters to pull away from the front of the field. The domestiques are going to work hard to hold this together. They're chasing down Langfranchi and they're reaching him. The strategy, an immediate counter-attack. And this looks like an attack going now from the Amore Vita team on the right, but quickly back together. These are the difficult moments in any stage of a big race, when the attacks come all the time as riders try to break up the field, and then they gradually get them pulled back together again. And this is Roland Meyer from TVM, who's now put his head down, and he lives in hope that he'll go clear of the field. 149th overall, and just over half an hour down. He's lost all of that in just under 900 kilometers of this year's Giro d'Italia. Now, this isn't the coast, by the way. We're now arriving at Taranto. This is a lake, and the riders coming in towards the finish and all getting themselves back together again. The Gawies team setting the pace. They've got two men likely candidates for final victory now, with Ugrumov and Berzin, both up there in the overall classification. But the sprinters again are going to have their day, and Cipollini has got his men once again organised for his third win here. And Cipollini comes out from the left of our picture now. We've also got on there, in fact, we've got the pink jerseys too trying to get through there now. Jans Verade is behind Cipollini on his wheel, and Nicola Minali is also coming through now. This is going to be a great sprint finish, but Cipollini looks as though he's not very happy at all with the result of this one. He's been washed away, and Minali's going to get it on the line. Nicola Minali takes it on the line ahead of Cipollini, who is in the mauve jersey here as the leader of the points competition. But for this occasion, at least, he has to be content with second place. But even so, he'll keep the lead in the points, while the stage win has gone to Nicola Minali, and this his 8th win of his most successful season so far. Tony Rominger untroubled today. He holds his overall lead by 51 seconds ahead of Maurizio Fondriest, and Casagrande is third, 1:07. Berzin fourth, Ugrumov is fifth. And you go right down to Pavel Tonkov, who's had one or two ups and downs. He's in 7th place. And the race route today, the 7th stage from Taranto, goes right around the Gulf of Taranto before it finishes in Terme Luigiani, 216 kilometres, and the hill coming just before the end, and that's the sort of hill that the climbers will look at to try and break away from the field. Here's our view, Italian television are giving us, of the finish. All we've got to do now is ride the 216 kilometres to get there. The beautiful blue waters here. And I must say, Italy, a very inviting country indeed. Unless, of course, you're riding the Giro d'Italia. And on a very tortuous descent, a breakaway here of 6 riders. Udo Bolz is in it, so too is Mario Chiesa, Finelli and Elli. And it looks as though they're being hunted down by none less than the sprint king himself. And that's Mario Cipollini riding in blue, because he leads the sprint competition, the Intergiro, as well as the points competition. And so today he's pulled on the blue jersey as leader of the sprint. And Rominger himself has joined him at the front. Now, Rominger probably keeping out of trouble here, because it is quite a difficult area of the countryside. The roads are narrow, it's dangerous. But it is unusual, I must confess, to see the pink jersey taking such an interest on a stage like this. And Cipollini, too, normally a sprinter, is having a go to try and reach this breakaway of 6 men. You get some idea there, the tortuous descent. They drop down. And there's no doubt about the strength of these 2 riders if they can work clear of the field. But the field, I would think, in a little bit of disarray. And not surprisingly, Gawies are bringing it back into order. Ugrumov and Berzin certainly not allowing the pink jersey too far a lead here. So Berzin has got to the front of that group and brought it back into order as we continue on the descent. And the whole field has more or less got back here. This is still the breakaway, but they're only hovering just in front of the group. And I would think that Mario Cipollini, time is running out for the big sprinter, because the hills will be coming shortly, and so he's trying to bring this break of 6 back personally, so he can line himself up for the finish down in Luigiani. Of course, he may be disappointed today when he gets there, because the finish is a slight drag uphill and not really a finish for Cipollini at all. Thomas Davey, having made this group as well, member of the Benesto team, and having to face up probably to two big tours this year, because Miguel Indurain in the upcoming Tour de France will rely a lot on Thomas Davey, the Frenchman, because he's such a strong rider. Inside 40, a little dig at the front. And slowly but surely, the riders are climbing up to the heights towards the finishing line, and there's still this breakaway is just about hanging on. Uchikov is bringing across the main field. A lot of power in this young man's legs as well. And he's going to reach them first, almost certainly. And the pink jersey never far away from the front. What a great race that Tony Rominger is riding. And remember, this is only in the first full week of the Giro d'Italia. Uchikov hanging on to his rhythm nicely. Well, he was, but he's lost it completely now because his legs just locked up as he realised there was no point in the effort because the Mappe boys have organised the chase down. And they're now beginning to close down the gap as a group. 7 kilometres to go, most of it climbing now, all of the way to the line. The pink jersey of Rominger keeping in a position where he can control just about everything. He'll watch just the men nearest to him at the moment. Remember that Maurizio Fondriest is second overall in the race. And we haven't seen a lot of him either, I must say. Casagrande is third and Berzin is fourth. Claudio Chiappucci on the Carrera team, always a high flyer in the Giro d'Italia. He's in 11th place at the minute, 2 minutes 24 seconds away from the Maglia Rosa. And now back with the leading group here. They may be being caught at the moment, but this is still an attack here, and it's gone now from Alessandro Bertolini of Carrera, and that's caused a reaction. But they're only just dangling off the front of the whole race, and now you get the picture here. Down below is the end of the tail of the leaders. And now you see the main field spiralling down towards them. And what a marvellous picture that is from the helicopter. And I must say that all of the motorbikes from the press are stuck in between. They're going to have to find a way out of this pretty quickly now. It's reminiscent of the descent down the Poggio, down into the end of Milan-San Remo, the great classic at the beginning of the season. Now the rider here trying to just keep the race going is Alberto Elli. And look at the speed that they're managing. Don't forget, they're coming off the swoop as well, but they're still clocking just under 60 kilometres an hour as they try to stay clear. There's the man that started the reaction, number 58, Bertolini, and still trying to keep it going. But now I think the field has got them in their sights, and there's just a couple of survivors as his Skay Wiz bringing the hang on, and he's going to go for it himself. He's going to try and hang on towards the finish. The finish is not very far away, and Bertolini could get this. He's the only one left of that breakaway of 6 now as the Skay Wiz team try to close down the gap, and Rominger is in there too. Rominger lying 4th or 5th down the line. It looks like Maurizio Fondri is just in front of Tony Rominger. Bertolini hanging on as the riders come up towards the finish now. Rominger is waiting to start the sprint here. And Ugrimov is trying to lead out, but he's falling away as Rominger starts. And now Fondriest has got his wheel, and Casagrande is tucked in into 3rd place. This again has become a battle among the leaders of the Giro d'Italia. And Fondriest is in the best position, but remember, he's been second more times this year than he cares to remember. But not this time. Rominger has dropped back, and Fondriest has gone forward. Casagrande is trying. Ugrimov is hanging on there in 4th place. But again, Maurizio Fondriest is back on the winner's podium for only the 2nd time this year. He won a stage of the 3 days of Depana. He gets the victory in this stage of the Giro d'Italia. And there's the result. Fondriest getting home just ahead of Rominger and Casagrande. Ugrimov, in fact, was given 4th. The numbers have been mistaken by the cameras. 8 days now covered in the Giro. This is stage number 8, Acqua Pesa Marina at sea level, taking the riders right to the heights of 1,546 metres at Monte Sereno. 209 kilometres a day perhaps for the riders to test the strength of Tony Rominger, who has led this race since day 2. And round the rims of what appears to be a crater here at the moment, but the riders are going to be climbing for much of the day and descending as well. And a breakaway of 16 men. They got clear after 22 kilometres on the first climb of the day, and it's being led here by Francesco Frattini, who comes to this race having just won the Grand Prix of Frankfurt, his first World Cup event, continuing the trend of the successful Italian riders again this year. There's the lineup of the breakaway, and Frattini has a teammate in here in Bruno Cenghialta, this immensely strong Italian who is threatening to do something big in this race. He's been challenging almost daily. And once again, the pressure back on the Mapei team. They're having to do an awful lot of work for Tony Rominger. He's taken the lead in this tour so early on. And although originally he said he didn't want to keep the pink jersey all the way to the finish, to me, he looks as though he might have changed his mind. There he is, staying in amongst with the teammates, while the breakaway itself is thinning out a little bit, but still here is Hernan Buenahera. Also Georg Tocznik of Poltny, Simone Borgarese, Mariano Piccoli, who has been a long-time leader of the King of the Mountain section of this race, and the Cubino, the leader of the Kelme team. And there is Tony Rominger. None of the riders in the lead breakaway a particular threat at the moment to the pink jersey of Tony Rominger. The gap, 3 minutes, 2 seconds. That's about the best we've had all day. And Evgeny Berzin taking full advantage of the Mapei team tactics and sitting in there nicely. The defending champion, don't forget. It was only in the last week of the Giro last year when he started to look a little bit more normal as Miguel Indurain got into his stride. And the breakaway there beginning to splinter now. They're down to just 8 riders in that front group. And this is Cenghialta on the front. Georg Tocznik trying to go clear at the back as well. The 4 of them going ahead here. Cubino is the other rider from Kelme. And this is the remnants of the breakaway. Frattini now at the back of that second group. So the 8 men are split into 2 groups of 4. And Kelme have got their 2 strong men up here. Buenahora, the Colombian member, and also the team leader, Lordolino Cubino. Remember last year, Cubino got away on his own and won a stage. That was his first ever stage victory in the Giro d'Italia. And now he's got into what could be the right move again. Berzin not interested either in the breakaway. More the whereabouts of Tony Rominger. Pavel Tonkov on his right shoulder. Well, there's been no indication yet from Berzin just how well he really is going in this year's Giro d'Italia. And Tony Rominger hasn't been put under pressure yet by him either. The group split is around 12 seconds apart, 4 and 4, and the main field is coming back as well. 1 minute and 37 seconds. We're now on the climb, which will take us up to the top, and the climb is 5,000 plus feet to the summit. Very fast but steady tempo. Nobody willing to set the pace at all. 9 kilometers to the finish. Georg Tocznik. I saw him race as an amateur in the Tour of South Africa. A very, very talented mountain climber indeed. Just beginning to get his feet now as a professional rider. But one of Austria's finest amateur cyclists, along with Alain Franchi. And this is Cubino and Cenghialta. And in fact, it looks to me as though they've dropped to. There's Piccoli, the King of the Mountains leader. He's back in the group now, so he's been caught from that leading breakaway in the green jersey. And also disappeared now is Buenahora. Tocznik taking a look down as we get through to 7 kilometers to go. And Cubino, I was about to say, it seems to be the strong man, and as I was about to say it, he's launched an acceleration like all good climbers can. Cenghialta straight onto him, and at the same time the Polti team car was up there to talk to Tocznik, and a chance to encourage Tocznik as well. Cenghialta cracked. He could not match the rhythm there of Cubino, and now it's up to Georg Tocznik to try and cross the gap alone, because Cenghialta hit the wall in no uncertain terms there. So Cubino trying to go away for what would be only his 2nd ever stage victory in the Tour of Italy. Concentrating very well indeed. The team, one of the early selections for this year's Tour de France, and that makes a change because they're so often on the reserve list. Now, can Tocznik get across the gap here? This is a chance for Georg Tocznik to really shine and give the team a big result. The rhythm behind continues. Moto3 indicating now that we have 2 split groups up front, and the 3rd motorcycle camera coming back to the head of the main peloton. The long twisting descent. It's only a little bit of a brief descent before the climb begins again, and we're going down at between 45 and 50 kilometers an hour. And Cubino now trying to go clear, and that lead car, I would suggest, wants to get out of the way. Because Cubino, oh, and my goodness me, this is the race to second place, and Tochnik has gone down, it appears, just as in fact, Bruno Kengi Alta had arrived back on the scene, and I must say the Polti team car was there rather swiftly. But listen to the skidding tyres of the lead car here, because they can't get out of the way of the fastest ending Cubino. Let's look at the crash here now. Kengi Alta had just come back over the top and was on the wheel, and it was about now where Georg Tochnik realised he wasn't going to make this bend. He put his front brake on as well, and then he overshot it. Well, he was lucky he was able to get some control on the bike there, because the fall, nothing like as serious as it might have been. Meanwhile, with his braces stuck to the fender of the lead car, we have Lordolino Cubino trying to get space on the descent here. And these are the legs of Tochnik, who's got himself back into the action. Surprisingly, hardly a mark on him after that slip and slide on that left-hand bend, but he's still ahead of the field, who are now on the way up again. So the Map A team, as we go into the last 3 kilometres for Cubino, are holding that race together. Rommel will be very happy with the way this first taste of mountains has gone today. The long climb to the finish will help him find if his climbing legs are there for this year. And he's using all of his team, and Rominger holding good order in second place. Berzin right behind him in third. Casagrande is also up there. Casagrande is the big surprise so far. Everybody's saying this young man is going to be a star of the future. Well, maybe that ascension is starting in this year's Giro d'Italia. But this is further up the mountain, and Tochnik has been detached, or really not got back to Kengi Alta after that crash. He's got him in his sights though, and he's hanging on. Meanwhile, Javier Morleon of the Map A team is doing a great job here for Rominger, keeping the tempo high. And Berzin and Casagrande still riding in the slipstream. That's the advantage when another team has the race leader. You can, if you've got the strength, just follow. Under the kilometre to go banner. Cubino doing what he did a year ago and getting himself a lone victory on a stage in the Giro. And I don't think anybody's going to stop him now, because his lead over Kengi Alta on the road is approaching a minute and a quarter. There's Kengi Alta coming up the climb as well. And there's the time gap over the screen there. And it's going to be more than a minute and a quarter as Kengi Alta rides up to the line to take second place on the stage. But at last a return for a big effort. But what a recovery here by Rominger. The gap has come down today, and Rominger comes in. He takes 7th place on the stage, a minute and 38 seconds back. And the rest of the riders come over the line. Well, the gains, again, a few seconds more gain for Rominger over Ugrimov. And Berzin has lost a little bit of time there, because here is Berzin. So over the last couple of kilometres of the climb, Berzin has lost big time. And in fact, he's conceded something like 20 seconds to Tony Rominger. That's his main aim. But what about this man, Maurizio Fondriest, flying high on the overall classification? Look at the clock. Almost 5.5, 6 minutes lost to the winner today. But indeed, a big time lost also to Tony Rominger. So Lordolino Cubino has ridden into the top 3 in the overall classification today with his stage win here. A minute and 19 ahead of Kengi Alta. And then looking down the list, Tochnik came home there in 6th place. A minute 38 back. 1,346 kilometres now covered in this year's Giro d'Italia, and they're facing 165 kilometres from Terme La Calda to Salerno. And as you can see, this one at least is all downhill as they head towards the beautiful old Roman town of Salerno. Not a day really for Rominger to worry too much about, but he'll have to watch out what's going on, because there is quite a battle developing. This is the overall situation. He's now a minute 17 seconds ahead of Casagrande, and Casagrande is still very much in the thick of things, although his brother, by the way, Filippo, who won earlier, retired yesterday. And today, after only 17 kilometres, the riders are under pressure by an attack of some 12 men who've gone clear, and there's a little effort here to try and limit the escape. And again, Mercatoni Uno riders are trying to get on terms here. This is the breakaway. They've never really been under pressure from behind. Mario Chiesa, 3 men down on the right of our picture, is back in the attack once more. This is Girotto coming through at the moment. Rolf Sorensen is here, number 128. Francesco Frattini, the winner of the Grand Prix of Frankfurt, is also in here. And this now, there is Rolf Sorensen, the Danish rider. Number 115 is Farazin. for the Lamprey team, and number 26 going through there is Lafisse. There's Massimo Girotto, former stage winner in the Tour de France, and indeed it looks as though